my drawers. I don't know what it is. What I find really,
Good
really
evening, sir.
interesting about this whole thing is that, well, the whole thing about, ooh, Wilkinson, can I activate? I cannot activate it right now. So what I find very interesting about this whole thing is that ever since I did the whole Capatch thing, and you meet Martin, he says he's some sort of a priest, right? And he says, I don't know if there's a god, I don't know if there's a divine plan. Like you can imagine, like Capatch at level 2 is super easy, but you can imagine what the game is trying to show you. Like literally the hell opening, like the gates of hell opening in the middle of, like in front of your city, and demons coming in and murdering your people just for the sakes of it. And it's like, okay, that's kind of pretty green. I think the remastered version does a better job of like showing like the big gates with like the fire and stuff. It's literally hell coming into Earth. That's what the plane mail is. And he says, why are the gods allowing this? How is this in the plan of God or the gods? And I think he sometimes uses the word God in singular, which is interesting as well. And I wanted to make a video about this whole idea of whether there is a divine plan further or not, and it ties. So my real research when it comes to near-death experiences and all of these things, other states of consciousness, the paranormal, and the current research on the afterlife and religions and whatsoever, it ties so much with my theories on the Elder Scrolls lore, because we don't know where the Adria are. Supposedly they gave themselves to create Tamriel, to create the reality that we inhabit, to create Mundus. And this is the whole idea, the whole story of Lorcan, and how there was Aetherius, and this Aetherius, the energy from Aetherius comes into the Mundus of the earth, if you may. And this is where we get the magic, but Aetherius is actually conscious, it's actually the initial, like the source energy of everything, if you may. I was talking about the luminiferous ether according to the ancient medieval theories of creation, and how it ties to some of the theories later proposed by Nikola Tesla and and quantum physics. But anyway, the whole idea is that there are no gods, because the gods gave themselves to create us. So in a sense, it is us who have the essence of the gods, of the divine. The only reason why we can see the Daedra is because the Daedra are in a sense at the same level as us. But we don't know it. We are oblivious to the idea of our own divinity. But in reality, it seems that the gods, the Adric gods, which created Mundus, live through us in a way. So now Martin is stepping up to his role as an emperor, and he's gonna defend Bruma, and he wants to close the gates, and he wants to do the whole thing, and now he gets it. The divine plan is not something that we have to expect. The divine plan is something that we have to enact by becoming conscious of our own divinity in a sense, which is probably what Talos did and how he ascended to divinity. Now, I'm conflating both the real lore, the real research, and the real philosophical question. Why does God allows evil to exist? Whenever you talk about God in real life, people straight away they think about the God of the Bible, like some bearded man in the sitting somewhere in the clouds, which is not. We're talking about universal things. We're talking about things beyond comprehension here. And the main argument that comes about, okay, if there's a God, if there's an intelligence, if there's a superior power, how come this insert negative thing exists? Whether you think about homelessness or murders or like the horrible things that are happening in some of the Middle Eastern countries and some of the Eastern European countries now, and everywhere and every time in the world, why would a God allow all of that? And the whole idea, as I said, I do all of this research in near-death experiences, states of consciousness, so on and so forth. People die, they go into what we can call the heavens, a cosmic realm, a fourth dimension. While we are in the third dimension, they go to the fourth dimension. It's a different place. You can call it an astral place, which is where our video games place the quote-unquote Oblivion realms at. And they talk to beings, and they talk to these entities, and these entities tell them, okay, this is life, there's a purpose to life, you're here supposedly doing something. They have a live review, they see everything they did in their lives, they are told that nothing is more important than, in their own words, to say love or God or truth, or the whole idea is that the ultimate reality is much more positive than we think, and we are kind of revealing our own divinity in a sense, and there's no death, and we're sort of playing a game. But when you go deeper into the philosophy, and not only the philosophy, we're also deeper into some of the experiences that these people come back with, you get the idea, you get the sense that the whole quote-unquote divine plan is that we as a species, as humans, we are expressing a form of God. And the God, or whatever we call God, is living through us in a way. So, I guess just to take it into a little pieces we can bite, and if we approach the argument that is posed in the Elder Scrolls lore, how can the Divines allow this to happen? The Oblivion Gates, how can evil allow this to happen? And if you go to the real arguments, why does God allow wars or murders or hunger or illnesses or anything negative that you can think of? There must be, everything must be damned, everything must be evil, there must be no God. However, in real life, there are people who stand up to evil. There are institutions, there are medical advancements, there are people who are always fighting against this evil. Why don't we take that into account? Why don't we arrive to that conclusion? And in the game and in the Elder Scrolls lore, well, there's all this evil. Who's gonna counter it? Now, to show you, okay, Martin is gonna take control of it. He's gonna become the emperor. He's gonna assume his role as almost divinity in a sense. I think that's where the game is going. I never played the actual story, the main storyline of Oblivion. Probably he's gonna have some sort of paranormal situation where he does something at the end of the game, but right now he is embracing his role as the emperor. He puts on his armor and he says, we're gonna defend Bruma. So it is about enacting your role and doing something about the evil, because perhaps this is the ultimate game, perhaps this is the divine plan. Now, I know much more about this, and I would have to go deeper into it and so on and so forth. Just when it comes to terms to the Elder Scrolls lore, we can take that into consideration.